At midnight, the prison shook, chains fell away, and doors flew open. But Acts 16 isn't really about a prison break. It's about what happens when people worship God before He changes their circumstances. By the time the prison doors open, God was already at work. But before we get there, we need to understand how Paul and Silas ended up in that prison in the first place. In Acts 15, the early church faced its first major theological crisis. Some believers were teaching that Gentile converts had to be circumcised and keep the law of Moses to be saved. Paul and Barnabas strongly disagreed, so they traveled to Jerusalem where the apostles and elders had gathered to consider it. After Peter spoke and James confirmed what God was already doing amongst the Gentiles, the council reached its decision. Gentiles did not need to become Jewish in order to be saved. Salvation is by grace through faith, not the law. But chapter 15 doesn't end in celebration. Paul and Barnabas had a sharp disagreement over whether to bring John Mark on the next journey. It got intense enough that they split up. Barnabas took Mark to Cyprus, and Paul chose Silas and went through Syria and Cilicia. So when Acts 16 begins, we're no longer following Paul and Barnabas. We're now following Paul and Silas. And when we catch up with them, they're already on the move. Paul wants to go one direction, but the Spirit closes that door. He tries another route, closed again. If that happened to us, we'd probably assume something had gone wrong. But sometimes obedience doesn't make the next step clearer. Sometimes it just means trusting God when He says not here. Then at Troas, Paul receives a vision, a man from Macedonia pleading, "Come over and help us." At last, they know where to go. They cross the sea and arrive in Philippi. But here's what we'll discover in this chapter: God's guidance doesn't always lead to an easier road. Sometimes it leads straight into a prison, because that's exactly where God intends to change someone's life. Paul keeps trying to go in one direction, and the Spirit shuts it down every time, until he gets a vision of a guy from Macedonia begging him to come and help. That's the green light. Here's something most people miss about this moment. This is at the exact point where the Arthur Luke joins the journey himself. The text quietly switches from they to we. They land in Philippi and find a group of women praying by the river, and one of them, Lydia, a merchant, has her heart opened by God right there and gets baptized with her whole household. Lydia deals in purple cloth, one of the most expensive luxury trades in the ancient world at that time. No husband mentioned, she's running her own household. She becomes one of the first recorded Christian converts on European soil. In verses 16 and 24, Paul frees a girl from a spirit that was making her owner's money, and instead of getting a thanks, he and Silas get mobbed, beaten, and thrown into the deepest part of the prison. Watch the accusation that follows. It's dressed up as a legal complaint, but Luke hands you the real motive straight out. The hope of their gains was gone. This is the gospel colliding with someone's income, not their theology. At midnight, beaten and chained, Paul and Silas are singing when suddenly an earthquake hits, throwing every door open and making every chain loose. Roman stocks weren't just restraints. They could pin your legs at painful, stretched ankles. That's exactly the position they're in right now. And Lucas adds one detail that matters: the other prisoners were listening. The jailer wakes up and assumes everyone's escaped and is about to take his own life until Paul stops him. Minutes later, he's asking how to be saved and gets baptized with his whole family that same night. Under Roman law, a guard who lost all his prisoners paid with his own life. That's the law he's up against. And notice the parallel. He's baptized with his entire household, the same way Lydia's household was at the start of the chapter. Two households, two completely different reasons. God got their attention. Which part of this speaks to you right now? Tell me below. I read every comment, and whatever midnight you're in, God may already be at work in it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week in Acts 17, where Paul stands on Mars Hill and goes toe to toe with Athens' top philosophers.